What is up, Minties? The Uncanny Omar here from Near Mint Condition. And today, join me as I do an overview of these two books I don't want anybody missing out on. Invisible Kingdom and Isabellae Volume 2 from Dark Horse Comics, so please stay tuned. Okay, now, let's take a look at Invisible Kingdom. This book was just recently released a couple of weeks ago. It's published by Dark Horse Comics. It retails for $19.99. The one thing I want to point out, this is a soft cover, so it's a trade paperback. Collecting the first 5 issues, by the way, is the build of the book. It feels really nice. Even though it's a soft cover, it is a sturdy cover. It's not like your usual flimsy covers that we've seen from trade paperbacks. And then the addition of this, I don't even know what these are called. Whatever these are, if you know what these are called, please let me know in the comments down below. For as long as I've been reading, I never bothered to learn the terminology of things like that. But anyway, let's take a look at this. Okay, so if you've seen my advanced overview of the Black Bold oversized hardcover from Marvel Comics, you know how much I praised Christian Ward's artwork. And I was really excited when I found out that this is what he was doing. Because when I get into artists, that's one thing I like to do, is like to see and follow their work. Because you all know, not only do I just enjoy a story, but I also have to art. And Uncanny Omar speak pretty one day. What the hell was I even saying? I also enjoy art. That's what I'm trying to say. And sometimes the art is what pushes me to keep reading a story. I mean, I did read a lot of comics in the 90s, so... Anyway, back to this. So he is the artist on this, but equally as important is the writer, and that is G. Willow Wilson. She is the lady that created Miss Marvel for Marvel Comics, and she's also the current writer of Wonder Woman. Now, I'm not going to flip too much through the first issue because I don't want to give anything away. But together, they published this book through Dark Horse. This is the first 5 issues. This particular volume is only 136 pages. And pretty much it is the story, here, let's go back to the beginning so I can show you the characters, of Grix, who is the captain of this ship, this cargo ship, that delivers goods from planet to planet. There's only 4 planets in this particular system. So she's the captain of the ship, she's a pilot. And then it's the story of Vess, this lady right here. Vess I find pretty interesting because there are 4 genders in her race, and she's like one of the rarest genders, but she decides to become a nun. And that is N-O-N-E, not nun, N-U-N, even though it's practically the same thing. So she decides to become a nun for the renunciation. That's what the religion is. And then what I didn't mention was Lux, which is the big corporation that supplies Grix with her ship, and it's kind of what runs a lot of the cargoes from planet to planet. I can't compare it to something because it will spoil some things, so pretty much the gist of the story is that Grix and Vess's world are about to come together because Vess, when she's with the Renunciation, becomes like a script reader, and she finds some things that ties the big corporation with religion, such as like money laundering. And then through one of her cargo, in the very first issue, Grix finds out that something's up with the cargo, and how long has it been going on that Lux has been dealing in this kind of shady business. So whether they're supplying this religion with money, or whether it's just a big scam, they're going to find out. And one thing I will say about the story, though, it's a slow burn at first, at least for me. It's not until about 2/3 of the story that I'm like, okay, now you've piqued my interest. I like the characters, but what really pushed me, like I was saying at the beginning, was the artwork. The artwork is what kept me reading, and I wanted to find out more. And then eventually I got invested with the characters, so I wanted more. And I'm glad that the book is continuing. Let's look at the extras here in the back. The second trade paperback, I think it's solicited for next May or June. So here's Afterword by G. Willow Wilson, welcoming you to the Invisible Kingdom. And then character designs by Christian Ward. And just a look at Volume 2 right here. And then other Berger books. Of course, that's Karen Berger, originally from Vertigo. So how could you not want this? Look at this beautiful cover. That's actually what piqued my interest. I'm like, I don't care what that's about. That looks heavy metalish. That looks like anime. That looks like something that I would enjoy. And in the end, I did end up enjoying it, even though my wife did not, which I found interesting. Next up is Isabella, from Raúl and Gabor, two Spanish creators. This is Volume 2. And I've done an overview, an advanced look at Volume 1. If you want to check that out, please do so. And if you did check that out, you know how I really enjoyed the first volume. I couldn't put it down. So this is Volume 2. So it's interesting because they're two Spanish creators doing a French comic book about an Irish-Japanese woman that's trying to avenge some of her family's death, rather, and then looking for her sister. So the first volume collected the very first 3 books from the original French and translated into English for the first time by Dark Horse. And then this volume contains the final 3 volumes. So this is it. There's just going to be 2 hardcovers in America. And as you can tell, the artwork is still absolutely gorgeous. The artwork, of course, done by Gabor, who commented on my video, so thank you very much for that. I hope that a lot of people check this out, because to me it was one of those hidden gems that I didn't see coming, and I didn't think I would enjoy it. But the premise itself is just so awesome. I mean, she is a half Japanese, half Irish warrior. Just looking at that cover, it's funny that both Invisible Kingdom and Isabella have a protagonist looking into the distance. So, coincidence. Going back into this, and without spoiling anything, so I'm going to talk just a little bit about it, because I think you will enjoy it a lot more if you have little spoilers. So, this particular volume picks up where the last volume left off, where they were in Japan in the first volume, and in this one, she and her team, they are in Ireland, and they're trying to take over a castle. She's still trying to find her sister, and that's where I will leave it at, because it is an enjoyable read with a lot of twists and turns I didn't see coming. On my week off, this is one of the books that I sat down and read, and I highly enjoyed it. I liked the ending. The ending was bittersweet and satisfying, and a little sad too, so I will leave it at that. But I just wanted you to check out this wonderful artwork. There's some fantasy elements, there's a little bit of horror elements, and just a badass lady with a sword going around Japan and now Ireland. I mean, how is this not an animated series? It's freaking awesome, and I want to read more work by these two creators now. I can't flip through the last 2/3 of the book because there are some big changes. So let's do another page. I just wanted to focus on, this is what the action sequences look like. They're absolutely stunning. I love the color tones that he uses. As you could probably tell in the first one, he used a different color tone when it came to the flashbacks and then the present time. He still does that a little bit here, but the Irish settings, the Celtic settings, are a lot different than the settings in Japan, even in the way that just the locations look. Well, of course, that's kind of goes without saying, but the colors that they use, rather. And as far as the extras, you get the covers to the other 2 volumes that were released in the original French language, and then also from Dark Horse. Which reminds me, I need to read Vampire Boy. Anybody read that yet? Because I need to check that out. How have I not read that? Blade of the Immortal, one of my top 10 favorite manga of all time. Lone Wolf and Cub. Goes without saying, probably one of the greatest. And if you have not checked it out, Isabella, Volume 1, right there. That is the cover. As far as the binding of the book, you could probably tell it was sewn binding. Has a little bit of glue right there, so it does lay flat. But if you could probably tell when I was flipping through here, like the first early pages, the binding does its job. And for a book that's only 152 pages, I think it's fine. Like I said, it lays over. This is the final page, so it lays over really nice. And that was the content of each of these books. Let me know in the comments down below if you've checked out Isabella Volume 1 and you can't wait to read Volume 2, or if it just wasn't your cup of tea. And let me know if you've read Invisible Kingdom or it was even on your radar. I'd love to know those comments down below. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe button, join us on our Patreon if you can do so, that would be awesome. And remember, if it's classy and cool, it must be near mint.